Yesterday, the Supreme Court heard the first part of a two-part session that they're doing. Today, they'll hear the arguments on DOMA. Yesterday, they heard the arguments on Prop 8. We're lucky to have with us, joining us on the phone, Angela Di Giampolo, who is an LGBT lawyer and a principal of the Giampolo Law Group and founder of PhillyGayLawyer.com. Angela, thanks for the time this morning. I appreciate it. I know we only have you for a few minutes.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Fred.
Now, were you able to actually be inside the court yesterday when the hearing was being held?
No, unfortunately, people started lining up Thursday for the Monday hearing, so there wasn't any opportunity to be able to get in, but I saw it the minute it aired afterwards.
And based on what you saw and what you heard, because mine's being filtered through the media at this point and what they're telling me, what did you take away from yesterday's actions and especially the questioning by some of the justices?
Right. Out of all the pundits that are talking, I'd say Tubin is most on point, and I agree with most of what he says. Based on the questioning, I don't think that we're going to see a 50 statewide sweeping ruling come June, overturning all of the mini DOMAs, all of the constitutional bans. I think based on the questioning, we're a little disappointed at how far the Supreme Court is and how weary they are. I mean, at one point, Alito was likening same-sex marriage to an experiment that was created in the year 2000 in the Netherlands. We were referred to as homosexuals all throughout. That went out in the 70s. We're just gay people. And so a lot of the language and the questioning that was used was pretty archaic and a little disappointing.
Yeah, and some of what's being said is that they think there's an actual possibility that maybe the court won't decide at all. And I heard that thrown out there yesterday afternoon, that maybe the court will just say, you know what, we made a mistake in taking this case on. We can't decide it. We don't want to decide it. We're just going to turn it back and leave it to the states. What likelihood is there of that happening?
I think there's a really high likelihood. I mean, when I thought that a few months ago, I thought I was just being too much of a lawyer, because it's such a boring way to deal with the case, right? But standing is something that very rarely gets written about at the Supreme Court level, so there's not a lot of cases out there on standing. So now we're looking back and thinking maybe they took this case because how do you get all the way up to the Supreme Court if legally you're not meant to be there?
Right.
That's got to be really hard. And there's very few cases out there where the governor and the attorney general refuse to defend a case. So next up is the Supreme Court. So this may actually be more of an interesting standing case than a same-sex marriage case, but it's important to note that this is also a case where a state had same-sex marriage, took it away, and now dealing with whether or not it needs to be given back. Can you give a right to a people and then take it back? So I think Prop 8 they purposely took Prop 8 to start dealing with the issue, but wanting to punt it for a few years. I'm in Pennsylvania. We have a constitutional ban.
Right.
And there was questioning yesterday about, would it be different if this were Utah or Pennsylvania, a case with a constitutional ban where Pennsylvania never gave me the right. I don't have the right. And that's what DOMA deals with. The federal government just put a ban on it. So I think whereas all eyes were on the Prop 8 case, and then it sort of ended up being a dud, that maybe the DOMA cases where a lot of the substantive, is this a constitutional right? Because if it's found illegal or unconstitutional on the federal level, it's only a matter of time before that will trickle down.
Right, and the states will have to change their laws depending on that. And a lot of people are falling in that way. A lot of people are saying, look, the federal government shouldn't be involved in this anyhow. This should be a states' rights issue. Where does the LGBT and other groups like that fall on that? Why not just let the states decide? And then if California wants to be stupid about it, and pass a law that says you can't be married, you just go to other states, you ignore California, and you go to the states where you can get married. And California suffers the consequence, and at some point they go, holy crap, we're losing tens of hundreds of millions of dollars.
I mean, and I think in saying that, that's easy to say, but deep down, that's a very naive and optimistic view of humanity, right? Because gay, straight, whatever, let's look at other times in history when this happened. Were states and quote-unquote humans Did they do the right thing vis-a-vis segregation?
Mm-hmm.
Did they do the right thing vis-a-vis women's suffrage? Did they do the right thing vis-a-vis interracial marriages? You know, there was a lot of talk on, you know, why the label marriage? And Ted Olson said, well, you know, you didn't give black people, you know, interracial unions, you gave them marriage.
Yeah.
And in all of those cases, the federal government had to come down and say, okay, you guys aren't getting this right fast enough. People are being hurt.
Yeah, that's
So
one way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's just a matter of, you know, and this is evolving more quickly than any other social issue. So we may get it right fast enough, and I think they're going to punt, and I think they're going to give us a few more years. But there are a couple cases on their way up to the Supreme Court. They should get there in about 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
From states that just have bans, so not a California, but more of a Pennsylvania type case. They're Hawaii and Arizona. And if we haven't gotten there fast enough, they'll have the opportunity in a few years to deal with it again and maybe tell us, you know, we're not getting there fast enough.
Sure. Later this afternoon, when Limbaugh hits the air, we carry the show here. He's been saying the last couple of days in kind of a derogatory way, they're trying to make this argument all about love. Is there a problem? I'm trying to figure out, is there a problem with that argument?
Is that wrong? Right. Right. You know, my answer to that is always, you know, if this were truly about protecting the sanctity of marriage, or you know, a lot of people say, you know, this isn't healthy for kids. My thing to both of those, the sanctity of marriage and protecting children, is if that was truly your intent, then you would ban divorce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many kids have just been brutalized by unhealthy divorces, right? We can't even get divorced because we can't get married. And why would you want to ban more people from getting married, rather than if you're trying to protect the sanctity of marriage, you would be looking to ban divorce. So, you know, I don't think it's a negative thing to make this about love. I mean, people just want to enter into a union that has all of the legal and financial protections that, you know, I don't know if you're married, but that you're privy to.
Mm-hmm.
And really all of these people that are making it about procreation or the sanctity of marriage or children should really look at that harder and realize that that's really just discrimination cloaked in morality, in my opinion. We'd really be looking to ban divorce if that was our true intent.
Well, and with a couple of gay brothers in my family, I would hope that, you know, if they ever decided to get married, they'd have the opportunity. Neither of them has wanted to yet, but, you know, if the opportunity arose, it sure would be nice to be able to you know, to let them do that if they felt like they wanted to.
Right.
So
married people are so unhappy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why shouldn't they suffer along with the rest of us, right? And I did see something funny actually yesterday from one of my gay friends on Facebook. He said he's looking forward to when they can get married because that means then they'll be on divorce court, and he wants to sit and watch that.
Exactly, and I want to be the judge.
That's right. So that'll be fun. Well, now are you going to be back at the court today to watch the DOMA arguments?
Yep. So if you want to talk again, you know, later this afternoon and/or tomorrow, I think this will be, like I said, a much more substantive and interesting argument.
All right, terrific. Yeah, I think we'll try to make arrangements to get you on again later on this week. Angela, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a good day.
Thank you. Angela D. Giampolo, who's an LGBT lawyer and a principal of the Giampolo Law Group and founder of PhillyGayLawyer.com.